And we're live. Hello, hello.
Hey,
This is
hi.
how are you doing, Benoît?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
So it's just kind of an impromptu live stream. So I'm still excited to keep using AppSync, and Benoît is one of the
More AppSync.
AppSync experts that I know, thankfully.
All right. Yeah. I love
So
AppSync. It's
yeah,
such a great
I,
tool. Yeah.
I think I'm getting sold on the idea of what
Oh, yeah.
AppSync provides for sure. Um, So let's see, what do we want to try out, right? So I did from the last stream I did with Michael, I did clean up a little
Yeah.
bit of the
Okay.
stuff I had since it was all over the place. But one thing I would love to try out, and it's gotten brought up several times, it's GraphBolt, right?
Okay.
Obviously,
Yeah.
that's a tool very near and dear to your heart. So want to give that a try to troubleshoot, debug our resolvers. But can you talk a little bit about what GraphBolt is?
Yeah. So, what is GraphBolt? GraphBolt is a tool for AppSync developers to test and debug and um, do a lot of things you can imagine with AppSync. So, in a nutshell, you can see it a bit as a postman for AppSync. It's dedicated to AppSync. Lots of features that are specific to AppSync, like of course you can have your collections of operations to execute them, your mutation, your queries, subscriptions as well. But it comes also with some super cool features, like you can debug and see what's going on inside a resolver when it's executed by a query or a mutation. So last week, I'm sure you would have used it a lot since I remember you guys had to debug and okay, what's going on here? We don't know we've got an error coming from AppSync. We don't know what's going on. Well, GraphBolt hopefully can help with those things. And on top of that, yeah, you can also test your resolvers even before you send them to AppSync through SAM, for instance. For example, what else? Monitoring. You can get some cool metrics, just like on CloudWatch. But everything is in one tool, just at your hand on your desktop.
Cool. Okay, so it seems like an interesting tool that, like you said,
Yeah.
would have been very, very helpful for me yesterday or last
Last
Friday,
week.
and the week after before that. So give me a second while I share my screen. I have so many tabs open. Oh, so many things happening. This new streaming is new to me. I usually have it planned out for like the week. Like this one was,
Yeah.
I reached out to Benoît yesterday. Hey, have a free hour. And like I said, we had to reschedule the BIS, the Believe in Serverless talk. So kind of fill in here, and Benoît was happy to be here. So let me present, share screen.
And actually, I think Row was planned, right?
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
talking about AppSync as well, right? I'm pretty sure.
Amplify.
Yeah, well, Amplify. So
It
yeah,
has
AppSync.
apps. Yeah, it's a little bit abstracted, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
there. Cool. So yeah, well, we can see my screen. Let me close up, zoom in a little bit, and so here's where we're at, right? So like I said, I kind of cleaned it up a little bit. So now I have a back end and front end. I cleaned up the name so it didn't say post and all that, so it was more
Yeah.
understandable. So I got update pizza order and all that. And then as far as like the pipelines, the one we were struggling with, I just did the one instead of having like the two-step pipeline in this thing.
Okay.
So what I want to do now, right? So I'm going to go to graphbolt.dev,
The dev.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you have a. Let's try it. Where is it? Download for Windows. Okay, 7-day free trial. Thank you. I know once I'm deeper in the AppSync world, it's going to be super beneficial. Oh wait, and again, I thought I was sharing my whole screen. I should know better.
It's just VS Code for now.
I need my doggy collar, like Ben said, to let me know I'm sharing the wrong stuff. As long as it's not passwords and stuff, it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we are, right? Starting from scratch. I just went to GraphBolt dev, and here's the download for Windows. Yes, I use a Windows machine. Don't judge me.
Right.
I work for a Microsoft shop, so that's what we get. So a little bit slower connection than you.
Windows.
Ooh, so this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but I know people who use it. So yeah,
it's what I've learned throughout these last years. I mean, a decade ago, 8 years ago, everybody had a Windows machine. Everything was done on Windows. That's shifted greatly, and now I'm on the computer, the OS minority in Windows land, and everybody uses or Linux, Mac. So when people see PowerShell, they're like, "This is icky."
Yeah. I think I switched to Mac almost 10 years ago. I wouldn't go back.
10 years ago?
Yeah.
I had a Mac, but like 15 years ago, and then hold on, protection measures here in my.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So something probably there goes a little bit of feedback. So registered publisher and all that, so it doesn't pop open the kind of that.
Yeah.
Hey, this is.
I'm aware of that. I think I need to buy some how's it called, like a certificate or something, and sign it. I do that for Mac, but for Windows, it's still pending.
I'm always forgotten. Come on. Okay. So here goes. That's a nice little graphic. Did you create that one?
Nope. This is new territory for me.
Okay.
Never seen that.
Now we're
so it's installing it,
okay,
right?
So, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's here, and this popped up on a new window, and it's probably loading. Like I said, I have.
It looks like it.
Yeah, I'm on a lower speed connection right now. I'm traveling, but okay. So this is just a project for me, right? So it's Kawabunga Pizza. That's kind of our application.
So a bit of context here. Like in GraphBolt, a project would be like in Postman. It's similar to workspaces. Okay. So it's a place where you can have your APIs and your stuff in one place.
Okay, yeah, and here's where you're comparing it. And I love the comparison, right? For me, that I come from the REST API world, Postman API Gateway, having the comparison really helps for me to organize this. Cool little wizard here. So profiles. Is this the AWS profile?
Exactly. So that's where you're going to select your AWS profiles, the ones that you want to use in that project.
Okay, and it shows all. You can see I manage a lot of accounts, but this is null check, so that's the one we want. Oh, and I can select multiple, but for this one, I just want null check.
Okay, yeah, I can select multiple. So that would be if you have, for instance, you have different accounts, different region, different environments. It could be different profiles, so you can do that.
Cool.
And yeah, so you can select also the regions that you want to limit your project to. It just avoids GraphBolt to just look around in 2 different regions for nothing.
To continue, do I need to SSO login from a terminal or something?
Yeah, but you should do it from here. So if you click retry. Is it doing
it's
anything?
not liking. It's not liking it.
So is that an SSO profile?
Yeah. These all are SSO profile. So let me select
It
another one.
should prompt you to log in, actually.
So I'm going to go previous next.
If not, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah, interesting. And if this doesn't work, we can switch, and it might be. And I've seen this when hooking up to like Memento or something. My computer runs hefty security software, so there might be something blocking this connection here. Probably unrelated to GraphBolt, but more to my system. But something we can do is
just one thing. What if you hover the little exclamation mark? What does it say?
credentials invalid or expired.
Expired.
So I don't know if it's looking at the cached.
In theory, it's using its own cache. Although, if you could try one thing, try to SSO login from the console, and then let's try again.
Okay, so and I'll pop this open over here. I'll do and more dev.
Well, I mean, sorry, not from the console, from the terminal.
Okay, now I know what you mean. Okay, so here I'm gonna do null check. This is a pre-configured terminal, AWS SSO login. And I got a pop-up over here on the side.
Yeah.
So you can't see me logging in. Or you can. It's not like I'm going to type in my password. So here, let me get my... Always be secure, people.
Yeah.
And there I go, sharing the two-factor, right? Okay. So this is logged in.
Okay. Now let's go try. Yeah. Click on retry now. See if it's
there. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So there you can see what you can do is that you can select that toggle here. It says just give me all the APIs in that account. Or if you uncheck it, you can select the specific APIs you want.
I have one.
You just have one. Yeah.
And I'm assuming you can reconfigure. If I select it all, then I create all my new APIs, and I'll have 20 APIs by the end of June. I can go and reconfigure this.
Well, actually, if you select all, it will be all for now and forever, like in the future. So usually you will want to use that for, I don't know, CI/CD or for developer accounts where you just keep creating accounts. Keep creating APIs for testing and stuff like that. So just say, give me all my APIs, and that's it. And you would select specific APIs if you want to select, I don't know, production, and you have a bunch of APIs there, but you just want to select one because it's the one of your project.
Yeah.
In the end, you can do whatever you want.
You can manage projects here. So this is kind of the workspace selector in Postman.
Yeah. Actually, you can close that and I can walk you through.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, at the top, the very first thing you got prompted was it's actually the profile selector. So now you only have one, but it allows you to switch from one project to another.
Cool.
Simple. You can also create a new one if you want, if you click the plus button, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. Top left, queries. If you click that, yeah, that's where you can create your collections. You can create queries, mutations, subscriptions, and it will keep all your stuff there. It will stay there, and you can reuse it as much as you want.
Cool.
Yeah, second button. That's that one.
The result.
Yeah.
Verse.
Okay, is the same thing. It allows you to keep a collection of resolvers. So that's where you can create resolvers and test them before you import them into SAM or whatever.
Okay. And this is, does it support like the JavaScript version and the VTL version, for example, as well?
Right. Yeah. So for now, it's VTL and JavaScript, like pure JavaScript. I'm working on supporting TypeScript, but it's not supported yet.
Okay.
So yeah. So I don't know. We can start maybe with just creating. We can see the rest later when we have something to show.
Yeah. Okay.
We can start with the queries. If you go back to query, that's where you create your operations. Yeah. Create a new one.
Add operation. Okay, you have folders and stuff. So let's do.
Yeah. We can do, I don't know, create order or something?
Create pizza order.
Yeah, create pizza order.
And then here plus,
yeah.
It's a query. So this seems fairly similar to what I was doing in the AppSync, right?
And
you are
exactly the same thing, yeah.
You are using, you said, the API or the AWS SDK for this in the background? And
correct.
My question is more, how I was trying to use Postman and said, hey, this schema is not valid when I add the @subscribe. This supports all of that, right? Any extended parameters from AWS.
Yeah, exactly. So the SDK is used, first of all, to bring all your APIs in your local environment. So it reads your account to get the list of all the APIs. So that's one thing. Then when you're working with a specific API, it downloads the introspection. And with the introspection, you can get all the schema and everything. And it keeps in sync all the time.
Okay.
So here on the left, you can do exactly the same as the console. You can create a mutation using the UI.
And here,
you can type it in if you want as well on the right. But simple stuff, yeah. You can just click on the fields you want.
It's a thin crust. Ingredients. What's your favorite pizza ingredient?
I don't know. Margarita. So it's tomato, mozzarella, and basil.
And I don't know how to spell mozzarella, but I'll try my best. And basil.
Double Z, I think.
Maybe. Okay, and then we need to. This is the same thing. We need to specify response, which we want
exactly.
the ID, the ingredients, the status. Let's just respond with everything. Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And I'm gonna get rid of this one because I guess I added 2.
Yeah, that's the default one. You can get rid of it. Yeah. Okay.
And then to run it, do I need to save or something?
No, nothing to save. You just need to authenticate. That's one thing. So if you click on yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so let me get, because I know I have it here somewhere. So I'll move
this you don't need it. Just go back to GraphBolt. I'm going to show you.
Okay.
If you click on the padlock, see, the cool thing about GraphBolt is that it detects exactly what authentication method you have. And if you're using API key, it also gets them from the SDK. So there's no need to go and copy it.
That's nice.
So it looks like it's going to expire. So a cool thing you can do as well is click renew. And you can renew it for some time.
Hotkeys, I love this. Boom, one more. And that went back to my AWS account and updated that. So that's...
Yeah, exactly. It's like you did last week.
Nice. Okay. Cool. So that figured it out for me. I didn't have to go back to the AWS console and pull in the API key or pull it from the CloudFormation outputs or anything. And now I can create.
There's a goal.
Cool. And this, after you execute a query, click this one to get detailed information.
Yeah, we're gonna come to that later. Just close it for now. Yeah. So here you go. That's your result.
Nice.
So yeah, fair and simple.
And then, I'm interested on this because it popped open. Is this...
Okay, yeah, click on it.
Are we at a good point to try this out, the debugger?
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
Okay.
So what this does, it does some magic in the background. It goes to CloudWatch, it goes to metrics, it goes to X-ray, takes some data, does some magic, and you get this.
Yeah, and since I did not enable it, it's
okay.
I knew I was going to get judged at some point for saying no, but here it is. I would have had
that's
traces
good.
here.
That's fine. We can do that later. So, walk through here. You get resolvers. You get the X-ray. of course, there's nothing there. The query, the response that you got.
These
are all the headers that were, I think, sent to this request.
Yeah. And then
small
response. Oh, let me zoom in. Let's see if I can. Yeah, zoom in. Let me know when it's a good. There we go. Is that readable?
Okay,
Cool. Okay, so response headers,
Mm-hmm.
CFI CloudFront ID. There wasn't a CloudFront cache. CloudWatch logs. This is what I was struggling to find. Remember, where I was trying to go into CloudWatch. How do I get the logs? And I didn't understand how it logged. Right, I'm used to like a Lambda function and isolated, and each piece being its own log group. This, well, it has the pipeline, and kind of the pipeline is all within this log group. So this is not.
So here it shows you exactly the logs that are specific to the request that you executed. Nothing more than nothing less.
That's good.
So you get all the details here. But that's if you want to go into the nitty-gritty and you're a geek. But if you're not a geek, you can go back up. If you go to resolvers, so that shows you, that table shows you all the resolvers that were executed by that specific query. In this case, for just one, we can see this. It's a pipeline resolver which had two functions. All right. So the very first tab shows you the evaluation and the context that the before handler received. So in a pipeline resolver, there's always functions, and before any function is executed, there's always like a pre-resolver, which is called the before handler. It's a way for you to transform the data before it gets into the first function. Okay. That's pretty much it. So that shows you, so if you go to the before handler.
Oh, sorry, the before handler.
Yeah, the first step. So that shows you the entry. So that's the context. So you know that in a resolver, you always get request and response, right? And in the request and response, you always have the first parameter, which is a context, CTX. Mm-hmm. That context on the left tells you what was the state of the context at that specific moment in the execution of the pipeline, right?
And to kind of pair it back to where I leave the code. To the code, right? So we got the pre-processed pizza order. It's the CTX. And I guess there's some magic there where you can use arguments or args.
Actually, it's not the pre-process. It's even before that.
Okay.
I think you did not define anything by the, in this, but by default, I think SAM probably just responds with an empty response, which is what we see in GraphBolt actually. Okay. But we can come back to this one later. So, so you see that the evaluation result is an empty object. So it just means that that function returned an empty object. Mm-hmm. Then we can go to the request of the first function. So that's your pre-process function. And again, on the left, you will see the context that was received by the request handler. So if you then you can go back to the code.
Yeah, now this is this, right? So just input ingredients crust. This is where we're storing in values, and then we're injecting this data and returning it like this. Which if I go to the right side of this, here it is, key and values.
Exactly.
This is a very nice visualizer. Yeah. Okay, I see how it ties in. This would have been,
That's the request. Then the request is actually, well, in this case, it was a non-data source, so it didn't go anywhere. But usually it will be going to a data source like DynamoDB. We actually will see that in the second function. But then when the response comes back from the data source, then it goes exactly there.
Well, there's this pre-processed pizza order response, right? So
that's the response. So that's the execution of the response handler, the second function at the bottom of your code.
Where it's now I understand what sort of context I have here, right? But I'm telling it to
So
just return the result, which is
mhm,
this object, this object.
exactly.
Okay, I see. Because I could mix and match more things and mutate the data a little bit more there and not just do dot response. So I like that.
Yeah.
And this is the actual, this is like looking at the data transformation in a step function.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So this is a pipeline. We went through the first step of the pipeline, kind of where we mutated a little bit of the data, injected the ID, injected the created date. And now we go to the step in the pipeline where it's actually go into the data source, right?
Yeah, going to DynamoDB.
Okay, so
So
let's
that
go into that one.
Is the one that is going to generate the request payload for DynamoDB, the DynamoDB data source. So again, in this case, on the left, you receive the context, which comes in Prev, you will see the one that comes from the previous.
Mm-hmm.
You also still receive your arguments and everything.
Yeah, this is what this is what Michael was saying. It's the arguments is always there in the context, so it's kind of
exactly, yeah. It stays there.
You don't need to keep it.
The whole flow. Yeah, you don't need to keep it. Yeah.
Okay. And then we got our previous result, which going back over here, and I'm just jumping ahead a little bit, but if we go here, we got context previous result, and that's where we got our data from. Okay.
Exactly.
Context previous result. Cool. And then we're mutating it a bit, and this is our result from here.
Yeah.
And here it is.
That's the result from exactly that part. So create piece. Oh yeah, that's the one, I think.
Mm-hmm. So here is the operation. The key that we're to map values is marshalling the data. We didn't really see that last week when I was doing this, but here you see how it's adding the DynamoDB version of the JSON. Cool.
Yeah.
And then this gets sent here, and again, we're just doing context result, so I'm expecting it to be here.
Mm-hmm. So result is actually the response from DynamoDB. It's not private, it's actually result. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the result from the data source, in this case, DynamoDB. So the result of the put operation. And indeed, that's the one that you are extracting in your code to return to the next step.
And is this, I'm assuming then, like AppSync, it's doing the put item and asking for the whole object back based on what we define in the response, right? So I guess it's doing like a projection in the result of the put item or something for us with integration.
By default, actually, AppSync, when you do any put operation or update operation, it asks for a return all new keys, and that's the one you get in the result.
Okay, cool. And then here's the result. And will this, if I had only selected, well, I can try it, and I'm going to try it to see if this response is filtered out when I don't select everything, or if it's always pulling all the data, and then AppSync is doing the matching of the data for me based on what I selected. Yeah, but let's just look at this last step.
I mean, if you want to try, yeah.
Okay, before we get to the after handler, I'm just curious. So I can go to my mutation here and let's just do ID, right? So I'm going to send this. I should only get the ID here. And now I can go to the debug for this specific one. And I'm assuming here it's where it's reaching out to AWS and kind of collecting all the data so you can visualize it nicely.
Exactly, yeah.
And here, so it still returns everything, and then AppSync does the filtering for us based on what we selected. Cool.
Yeah, the filtering is made by AppSync. It just filters out based on the request and the schema and keeps only what you want. But DynamoDB will always return everything.
Yeah, and I guess you'll still get charged even if you do like a projection expression or anything. It's still coming back. if you're worried about the cost. And again, it took 50 milliseconds. In my world, that's good. That's great. And okay, so we have the before handler and then the after handler. What exactly is what's happening here?
The after handler is the one. So as I said, a pipeline always is wrapped. I think Michael also explained that last week. A pipeline resolver is always wrapped by two functions, a request and a response. It's just for you an opportunity to, I don't know, do stuff, do reformatting, some logic, some custom logic. In this case, we are just returning the previous response, and it's the default. It's the way I use it the most. Most of the time, the before and after handler don't do a lot of things. Sometimes the before handler is useful if you want to be able to reuse functions that, for instance, you might have a function that in some cases is going to use the arguments, but in some other cases, it's the same request, but it's going to use the source because you are resolving like like nested fields. In that case, in the before handler, what you can do is, okay, you're going to pass the data that you're interested in. Could be from the args, could be from the source, depending on your use case. But then the function is exactly the same, and you're going to use the previous, like ctx.prev.result, and extract the data that you pass from the before. That's one way I use it.
Yeah, so just more places in the life cycle of this kind of event to be able to handle some stuff. Line wrap. Okay, this is just formatting. I'm just browsing around here. It doesn't have a source, but this one. Okay, it's
so at the top here, it tells you it's a visualization of the pipeline resolver. So in this case, you had a non-data source followed by a DynamoDB data source. So that
okay, so if I had more steps in my pipeline where I have one that goes to Aurora and stuff like that, I don't know what data sources you can define, but that would give me the full flow of the data sources. So if I guess, can you have a pipeline where it's like a preprocessor, then it goes to the data source and then do more stuff in the pipeline after you hit the data source? Okay.
Yeah, you can do that. I think most of the time you would want to do that in the response handler of your data source resolver. But I mean, if you want to simplify or reuse some logic for some reason, then you can do that in a following function. And if you don't need to access any data source, that's what a non-data source is for. It doesn't reach to anything.
Okay. Cool. Let's go back here. And I'm assuming, okay, I have tabs just like Postman. I have my requests.
Yeah.
So here they are, and I'm at the debug level. How do I close? Okay, here's my mutation, and here are both my debug sessions with the request ID. Okay, so I'm going to close these unless there's something else we would like to see here.
No, I think we've seen the most important stuff. CloudWatch, we've seen that. Yeah, we can close it. What we can do, if you want, is you remember how you struggled a bit to have subscriptions working and you had to open several tabs and stuff?
Yeah.
We can do that here. So we could create a subscription.
Okay, so I'm going to create operation. Let me copy this ID.
Yeah.
Is there a history, sort of like the request I run?
Yeah, it's at the top right on the response panel.
Top right,
it says
here?
5 minutes there, yeah.
Okay, so I can go back and look. Okay, if I didn't copy it, that's why if I didn't copy the ID, I can go back and get one. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So here I'm going to do a subscription. It's on pizza order.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Just go back. Command Z.
Okay.
Don't delete it. Control Z. Sorry for you. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. There. What you're going to do is on the left at the top, there's a plus button. So you create a new one, create operation there, and that's where you create a subscription. Yeah. So you can
Oh,
keep
I
as many as
see.
you want, actually.
Okay, so I'm going to do the subscription here. And then now I'll select the ID and do this one. And I want the status, right? That's what we care about.
You
So
will want the
then,
ID as well. And you will need to return the IDs too. Yeah.
okay, so then I can send this. I can send this from here or
Yeah,
here.
you can do that. Yeah.
So now it's
Okay.
subscribed. So now I'm going to create another one. Or yeah, let me create another one operation for my update order status, right? And I'm going to create an operation. This is a mutation update status with this ID. And I like that it's, I see it
Yeah, it's
going
still
there.
there. Yeah.
So it's like order, or let's just do received, right? So it was created, now it's going to be received. And
You need to return the response.
I forget that I need
Select
to
the.
return stuff. GraphQL needs me
Yeah.
to do stuff, to get
I think that
stuff
should be
back.
good enough.
So I'm going to send this. Ooh, okay. I was kind of hoping that would happen, that it would tell me, hey, I got a
Yeah.
notification. And here it is. Okay.
There it is.
So let me do several updates, see if that count keeps going on. Now I'm just in QA mode. Receive, preparation. Right, so it goes there. Now in oven. Boxing. Getting delivery. And here we got the 4 subscriptions, or the 4 messages based on the subscription, the 4 events.
Yeah.
And this is what I wanted to see. So we got the full history here in oven, the received. Okay, that's nice, and that it's self-contained within this, right? And you said I can create another request.
Yeah, as many as you want. Yeah.
So let's do like a second subscription. This is going to be a subscription on pizza order. I'm going to go to my creation. Let me just see which one I had in here. It's 0A1B67. So I'm going to go to the other one and start subscribing to this one separately. So here it is. ID, status. Where's my input? Oh yeah, I'm just subscribing. Okay, I'm not sending the update here. So then I subscribe to this one, and it'll be going here. And then if I go to the update order status, let me do some here, delivered. So I'll do this one, delivered, and it should go over here. And now I'm going to change the ID and do received. I can spell received and send, and it should go. Did I change the order? I think I put this same one. It's this one. So now received.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so received.
Okay, there it is.
Preparation. Okay, I really like that. Boxing, and you can keep subscriptions separately, and it really helps troubleshoot, right? Is it actually, if this is kind of testing AppSync in some sorts, did the subscription go to the correct spot? But having these listeners run within the same window, right? I don't have to change full context, right? Us developers don't like to context switch that much, so having it be here, it's rather nice.
Yeah, the goal is really to have you have everything at the same place, like a client to test your stuff, debugging, logs, metrics. We can come to that later as well.
Yeah.
Everything you can think of, from development even to production. Like you may want to test something on production, like execute a query because you received a bug or something and you want to test it. Look at the metrics in production as well. Test things like that.
Yeah, because you can connect this to a production environment just to purely read, right? Not to actually act on it, but looking at how everything's flowing.
Yeah. So actually, if you remember, when you created the project, it asks you if you want to add several profiles. You can have development profiles, staging profile, production profile. You would see all your APIs. So if you click on the big drop down at the top, sorry, the one below, where it says Kawabunga Pizza, you will get all your APIs here. So you could get development, production, staging, whatever. And changing that is the same as changing the environment in Postman, essentially, more or less.
And I guess the cool thing here is that the security, and it goes kind of like shared responsibility. You don't have to worry about the security, right? You give them access based on the access your organization has given you to your AWS account, right? So if I should only have read-only access to production, give me that role, and that's the one I can assume for GraphBolt, right? So that way you abstract yourself from that level of complexity, which is nice for you, but still you're following your organization security protocols.
Yeah, cool. GraphBolt uses your local profiles, which is your local user and profile and role and policies, whatever. So you can only do what you can do. That's the cool thing. And also, nothing leaves your computer. So I don't see anything yet that you do. I don't get access to anything. It doesn't go to my AWS account or anything. Everything happens between your machine and the AppSync API or your AWS account.
And if I close this, right, and reopen GraphBolt, does it keep this history?
It keeps
it. Back to this. It's local, but it's
local
stored.
Storage. Yeah.
Okay.
There is a plan, maybe if there is enough demand, to like have a cloud sync. Like you can have it as well in Postman, like for teams to share their environments and share projects and share their collections of operations. But for now, it's everything local.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've worked
one last thing I would like to show you here, if we can.
Okay.
You see that at the bottom of the screen, there is variables. Okay.
Oh, here.
So you know that AppSync, well, not only AppSync, but GraphQL allows you to inject variables into a specific query. Actually, the front end, usually you would want to use like a predefined operation which has variables, and then you just pass values. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you go on the left panel where you have your operation, okay, if you hover on the other one where we have so if you hover over the ID there at the right, you have exactly. Click on it. Okay, so now you see that your operation has changed. So that operation now accepts and expects an ID as a variable, right? So at the bottom panel where it says variables, you're going to pass a JSON with an ID and your value there.
So something like this.
Yeah. So that's usually how you would use a normal GraphQL request. Like I almost never pass like variables as is in the query, but I pass a variable and then I give that variable a value as a JSON.
And I guess this way you can, like I was thinking, okay, I would change the chain, the add, the update, and all that, and you can chain them with these variables, right? So the add would add the ID as a variable, kind of like a collection variable, and Postman, and then I can use that variable in the next request and such.
That's something I would like to do as well. It's not implemented yet, but that's actually a good idea.
Cool.
Cool.
So here, you would usually have these parameterized, and then you would define them in your variables, and that way it's easier to switch it in a single spot, right? If you have multiple inputs and all that. What happens if it's an object, right? It would accept a JSON object the same way, and the path is just
Yeah,
JSON
exactly.
path?
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I like
What's
this. Okay, so I'm going to stop these. And now, do you want to talk more about these things on the side?
Yeah, so if we do have time, let's check the resolvers section, and then let's create a new one.
1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. New resolver and
yeah, there.
template.
Yeah, it's a new template actually. Yeah. Yeah, just give it a name. So now we're just going to go to VS Code and copy that resolver of yours that creates, or let's take the update one. Let's take the update. Yeah, this one. Just copy paste everything into GraphBolt.
Here.
There. Yes, there. Okay, did we select JavaScript? Yes, we did. Okay, so that section allows you to test your resolver even before you actually deploy it, and then run the execute a query to see if it works or not, and if it doesn't, you debug, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What you can do here is test it. So now what you need to do is pass a mocked context. So what we will need is some arguments.
Do I need args, right? Args?
No, it's actually already args. So you are inside the args tab. So it's already an object of args. So you will need to pass it, I think it's an ID and status. Okay, yeah. And if you click run.
Will this actually run against DynamoDB, right? It already has a connection.
No, it's everything is mocked. So actually, there, exactly. Yeah, just click run, yeah. So what it asks you here is what of the two functions you would like to evaluate. So which one you want to test, okay? So if you click request first, okay, that's what would be the output of the execution of the resolver, of the request handler when it runs into AppSync. And you can see that it generates the request that will go eventually to DynamoDB. It does not execute it against DynamoDB yet. It's just a testing, like a unit test, basically. What operation will be sent to DynamoDB? And you can see here you have your update and all the values that you need to pass. All of this was generated by AppSync using the simple update helper function that Michael showed you last week.
Okay.
So that's a simple way you can see, okay, does this make sense, right? I'm expecting to generate an update. I see that the values are correct because, okay, let's imagine that in the args, in line 7, let's change it. And I don't know, put, instead of ID, put IDs with an S as the, or something like that. Yeah, whatever. Execute it.
Execution request. Here it is.
So there. So you would see that, so the key is IDs. You might say, okay, well, that does not make sense because my key is ID, so I need to change it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. Another mistake that could happen is that instead of using ID status on line 5, then again, change it. Yeah, that one, change it to ID status with 2S. I don't know. There's a typo.
Yeah, something. Yeah, okay? Something that doesn't
work. And then you run it, you will see, okay, yeah, well, the express, it's null, that doesn't look good. So what's wrong? You look at the code, I made a mistake. So you can fix it before even you deploy it and test it.
That's nice. I mean, because it's kind of what I see in the VTL world. It's like, okay, I have to go to the API gateway console, run it, and then look at the before transform and then the after transform. And most of the time it's truncated. And it's like, what happened? So this is nice.
Yeah,
To
that
see
allows you to skip
the
that
actual
part
JSON.
and just go faster. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
And if you want, we can also test. It's a simple case, but we can test the response. So if you go to the result tab in the top pane
here,
that's where you can mock the result that you would get from the data source. So I don't know, you can put an object or anything. Just put anything, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And this is if I run it, and it's I can either do either one.
Yeah, you can do response in this case.
Okay, response.
So that's the evaluation of the response. And the response is taking whatever is in result. And you can see that indeed, this is what you wanted.
Yes, if I had, like you said, hey, if I mess this up, run the response. Oh, this is null. Typo, something.
Typo,
okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. And then, so those are the main pieces I think you would need to actually be troubleshooting, iterating your code. From this, you would copy it out. Is that kind of what you would do? Copy it out to either your JavaScript files in VS Code and stuff like that.
So you can just copy this back to VS Code and deploy, and you're good to go.
Cool.
Yeah.
And anything interesting in these other?
Yeah, those are actually other objects, other values that come into the context object. So source is when you have nested resolvers. So let's say, you have an order, and that order has a customer inside it. And you say, I want a query that gets my order and also gets my customer from that order. Source would receive the details of the previously resolved, the parent object. So in that case, it would be an order. That's where you would extract, for instance, the customer ID from the previous response from DynamoDB order table. You extract the customer ID and you use that to query your customer table.
Okay.
So that's where you would get that information from.
Okay.
Identity receives the information about the authorization method that you used. It could be Cognito. In your case, it's API key. It could be IAM, whatever you use. Then previous, you've used it. That's where you would pass the prev value when you use a pipeline. Request, you've just seen that. And stash is a special place where you can store values and reuse it between different functions. So if you have a pipeline function and you don't want to pass information over back into the response, like in the result from one to another, you can stash it. It's like a way to keep it like in memory somewhere to reuse it later.
Cool. Interesting. Yeah. So much stuff, right? And so much helpful, so much helpful things to iterate faster, test faster, fail faster.
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm just around. So what is I went back to resolver. Okay. Inspector.
Yeah, the inspector is another way to debug a query. So if you go to query and you execute one, you have that little bug button that you can click to access the debug tool. Inspector is actually another way to do that. If you click on it.
Inspector. Hold on. Well, kind of like.
No. Oh yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you click, I don't know, change the time frame, put, I don't know, 1 hour. So it will pull, all the requests and the mutation and queries that you have executed in the past hour in this case. It could be either from GraphBolt, but it could be external as well. So if you execute it from your front-end application and you're debugging it and you say, okay, something is wrong here, let me go to GraphBolt. I will go to the inspector, get all the latest queries that were executed. You will find it there, and you can debug it as well.
Okay, and it takes me to the
And
actual
it takes you
debug
to the
details.
debugger, yeah.
Okay, that's nice. I can change the paging. Okay. Yeah, it says kind of like the CloudWatch of requests made to your
Yeah,
GraphQL
exactly.
API.
Actually, it uses CloudWatch under the hood.
Okay.
To find the queries, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
details. This is just the top level.
Yeah, top level things, information about your API, your endpoints. You see.
So there is an actual. Okay, so I could separately without using AppSync and just using like Socket.io or just a subscription in an Angular application, for example, and subscribe directly to that thing without using the AppSync subscribe. Is that kind of what this gives us?
Yeah,
this is more of an AppSync question, not GraphBolt.
That's where you can copy your values. You just see them. If you want to copy them for your front-end application, you will need it. So you can get it from there.
Cool. Details.
You can see the tags as well. Yeah, I see that it was deployed with SAM. That's okay. Yeah, monitoring. CloudWatch metrics, essentially.
Yeah, this looks very similar to, I mean, it's the CloudWatch dashboard, basically. Or the dashboard in AppSync, yeah. So
yeah, it's the same, yeah. It's just a bit nicer with colors and whatnot, but yeah.
And consolidated here, right? And I have the tab here with I can have my subscriptions, my resolver, some monitoring, right? So again, consolidating into a single application.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You got some fans, Benoît. Benoît.
Yeah.
Go, Benoît. And the last piece here.
And the last piece, yeah, it's statistics. So that will give you some insights about your resolvers. So which ones were invoked the most and which ones were taking the most time. So the time, I don't know, that it takes. That's where you would find, for instance, if you have a resolver that does not perform well, you see, okay, well, that one takes, I don't know, 15 seconds, something is wrong, you know. For now, it's just that. The most used and the most time-consuming resolvers.
Cool. So, I mean, you've used AppSync for a while. You probably used it before JavaScript resolvers were a thing. When they got released, did you do so many performance comparisons and how they differentiate as far as running, right? Is a VTL one faster than a JavaScript?
I did not really perform performance tests, but I know that there's no or almost no impact. They are very, very fast both. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, it's faster to develop. That's definitely, exactly. You have a better performance metric there. Yeah. I would be interesting how it's affected with bad coding practices, right? And something writing non-performant JavaScript. But again, you should still be using it as how you use VTL, where you're just transforming and sending to a data source. That's kind of what I get from this, or proxying to other services.
So I don't really think there is a way in AppSync, at least JavaScript resolvers, to write bad code that performs badly, because there are some limitations to AppSync JavaScript favor. There are things you cannot do. You cannot use async await. You cannot do network invocations. It stays very basic, some very essentially data transformation logic. Like
I don't
generate a payload for. Sorry.
I don't think you've seen my code and how bad it could be.
Yeah, I think there are also some limitations. Like I don't know if it was just for VTL, but it might also be for JavaScript. Like you cannot do like loops that go for more than 1,000 iterations, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
and so
in theory, it should
is
be good.
what you said, that iteration of 1,000 in JavaScript is protected as well? Because I know in
I'm
BTL,
not sure.
an API gateway, you're limited to 1,000, right? So if you're querying DynamoDB and you have more than 1,000 results, you're forced to paginate, right? Which is also a good practice, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's protecting you. Um, cool. Yeah, this is very cool stuff. Um, and you've built this, right? And you're
I did. Yeah,
is it all you, or do you
yeah.
work with someone on this?
No, it's been me mostly for the beginning. Yeah, but I did get some insights and some um, feedbacks from many people. So it's not just me in a way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
It's
I want to congratulate you because this seems like a solid product, right?
yeah.
It's like
Thanks.
I'm starting to get into the AppSync groove, and I can see where this definitely fits in my day-to-day development when I start doing a lot more AppSync. So
Yeah.
this is a pretty cool tool. So I'll be playing around with it, and I'll definitely be giving feedback as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Cool. So yeah, this is a shorter than usual stream for me, but happy to be here with you, Benoît, and I really appreciate you jumping on this on
Yeah.
such short notice. But I think it's truly. I want to keep doing this AppSync stuff, and I want to do it publicly. So this is working out for me because I'm learning so much and I'm liking it so much. So
Amazing. Yeah, I love
I'm
AppSync.
it's very powerful and it's gotten a lot
It
more
is.
love than API Gateway in the last few
Mm-hmm.
years. So it has a lot more functionality that I think I would need to give up my. I kind of like the REST API structure and how all that works. So migrating my mentality to the schema, which is very similar, right, in a way. So I'll be doing more public learning of my AppSync journey and definitely keep
Yeah,
everyone
cool.
posted and probably reaching out to you a lot more.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
Cool. Well, appreciate everyone that joined. Appreciate your time, Benoit.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you.
and happy to keep talking about this. So I'll
All
see
right.
everybody. I'll see
Yeah.
everyone later. Adios.
Ciao.